All right, Nicholas, welcome back from 4th of July weekend, and welcome back to TLDR. I'm your friendly neighborhood backcracker, Dr. Joe. With me, as always, is my hunk in crime, and we may have something cooking up for you folks later. It's a real busy day for us here at TLDR.
Yes, sir.
We got the July solicit coming at you live now, and then we've got something in the works following that you'll get to hear next week. Nicholas, how you doing?
I am doing great. Yeah, we don't want to say, in tradition, we don't want to say who it is because it has not been recorded yet. That is the way that we do things here. Because Joe, you and I have both been burned individually where we jinxed the show. So we don't want to make it a third time. Things do happen in threes, but we can tell you we got something in the works. No matter what, there will be something for you guys next week. The solicit's the only thing you're getting from us this week. Either way, though, whenever we have stuff in the works, that's a I guess an alarm to let you all know if you're just come across us on the Twitter feed, on YouTube, on Doc's Twitch page. Make sure you subscribe to the audio channel because that's where the only place you're going to get our special episodes, which are usually interviews. Apple, Stitcher,
What else would our
Spotify.
special interviews be, or our special things be?
Yeah, our specials. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, you don't get interviews there. And if we ever did something aside from an interview, you're only going to get it there. I don't fucking know. Anyways, I'm trying to tell people to go subscribe to the audio channels, dickhead. So go do that out of spite to Joe and make sure you leave us a rating review there. Give us 5 stars, but tell Joe that this is a spite review. It's like spite bucks, like on #dork. It's something kind of similar, but for me instead of Davey, so it's even better. Anyways, we got a lot to get to. Only a 4-week month or 4 Wednesday month for July, which is nice because those 5 Wednesday ones can be lead to fairly longer episodes.
Yes.
But first, let's start with catching up. Joe, what do you got for me?
Not a lot. Real busy weekend, as you might have imagined. But I caught up on the Scorched, issue 7, fantastic. And Dune, House of Cantley, number 2.
Nice.
Love the first issue. Second issue was great. This is it tells a great story of Gunny Halleck sort of right after, House Atreides falls. And sort of, not a lot of that is talked about in the books. So if you've read the Dune books, it sort of goes, when everyone gets, captured, is presumed dead. And, what's his name there? Leto or Paul. Sorry, Paul is out in the desert with his mother. You go right to the Fremen, and they sort of skip everything that happens to some of the other characters, sort of in between. So this is a great little gap filler. So it's been a very enjoyable book so far.
So this is something that you could theoretically do on this show if you want to, because I haven't read any of the other Dune stuff to this point. Do you think this is something you'll want to do?
Possibly. It might be like maybe a Dune collective because wait, did I do House Atreides
You did
on
do
the
that
show?
one.
I did.
Yeah.
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 So we'll see how this one shapes up, and I might do that as well. But it's only 2 issues in, so it's hard to tell you. But it's been solid for sure.
And obviously, mainline episodes for us are far and few between. Man, but that's the way we like it. Keep you guys all on your toes. As for me, from catching up this week, I also caught up on the Scorched issue 7. A lot of She Spawn in there. Really liking that we're getting more focus on her. I want more of that in the Scorched. Wolverine issue 22. Deathstroke Inc. issue 10. With Deathstroke Inc. issue 10 too, it looks like we're getting like year 1 for Deathstroke. So going into some of his origin, kind of setting the tone there. Wolverine was good stuff as well. Noctera 11, though, was the one thing of catching up, though. That was the biggest one. We get a huge development, a huge change with an important character in this story. Very excited for this. I don't want to say anything beyond that.
I haven't read it yet. I have to read that and Wolverine. So
yeah, Noctera 11, though, everybody. If you haven't been reading Noctera, I'll say, like, of all the developments we've gotten so far in the story, I really enjoyed Noctera, but this is, of just a single development, this is definitely the most jaw-dropping, and it's fucking awesome. So very excited for what's coming up next. But let's get to what's new this week in comics, Joe. I'll kick us off with Marvel on this one. So we got Amazing Spider-Man issue 5, Avengers Forever issue 7, Black Panther 7, Carnage 4, King Conan 6, Star Wars Halcyon Legacy issue 4, Strange Academy 18, What If Miles Morales issue 5, Excellent 5. Then we've got a couple books that we're both reading: Ghost Rider issue 4, Sabretooth issue 5, and then a few that are just on my pull list: Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty issue 2. I actually, the Sam Wilson Captain America, I read the second issue of that. That was also part of my catching up. Should have been in there. We got Jane Foster Thor issue 2, and then Legion of X issue 3. DC, big week for them. Why don't you take us through what we got from them?
Yeah, pretty weird too that we didn't get any number ones from Marvel this week.
Hmm.
They must have assumed all holiday weekend we'll just
Makes sense
skip it.
in that
But
regard.
and same thing from DC, although we did get a number one, and I forgot to put down the information for this. So if you could look that up for me real quick while I rattle these books off.
Mhm.
We have Batman 89, number 6, Batman Beyond Neo Year, number 4, Batman Killing Time, number 5, Dark Crisis, the big DC event, number 2, comes out this week. DC versus Vampires, number 7, which Nicholas has been reading and enjoying very much.
Hmm.
Flashpoint Beyond, number 3. Multiversity Teen Justice, number 2. DC's got to work on some of these titles. They've had some fucking just oof. Nubia Queen of the Amazons, number 2. Poison Ivy, number 2, which you have been reading.
Mhm.
Suicide Squad Blaze book, number 3. And then 2 books I highlighted that I read that I want to talk about. One of which is going to be my Doc Talk. So I'll save that one for last. But The Joker, number 15. This is the last issue of this book, of this series, I should say. It was supposed to end at 14 issues. It got extended by an issue, and I'm glad that it did, because this issue was a really nice wrap up, and the story, the way that Tynan, sort of brought it all together was different for how the storytelling has been done for this series so far, which was great. So what we get in this final issue is really just a one-on-one between Gordon and Batman, and
Okay.
Gordon sort of does, telling Batman why he did all the things that he did, and breaking down, like it was pretty much a recap of the entire series in one book. But it was a very it was great storytelling in the way that Tyne did it, with that conversation between Gordon and Batman, which we don't see a lot between these two characters, because there was a lot more. It was a lot of sort of frank talk between the two,
Hmm.
honest talk between the two, which you don't get a ton of. So this book was a bit of a roller coaster. It started off hot like a pistol, then kind of flatlined a bit, and then just sort of really finished up strong. And that flatline, we talked about it. It was right around the time where the Substack stuff was first announced, and that's when it was, announced that Tynan was going to be done writing this book. And so it was, the flatline wasn't terribly long. It was several issues.
Yeah.
um Not quite, maybe not quite a third of the book, but almost. It seemed like it was like almost, almost an entire arc. But be that as it may, it started really strong, it finished really strong. It was a great story, start to finish. When this gets collected in a trade, I highly recommend people reading it. I feel like I've talked about it enough on the show where
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do a mainline episode on it, because I've talked about it so much already.
Hmm.
But when this gets collected, maybe I'll take an extra few minutes when that trade comes out, and discuss it just a little bit there. But that's been awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for doing an episode on it, but I figured that it would be episode worthy. But you have touched on it pretty much every single week, for better or worse. Every time that it's come out so far. But yeah, it's you talk about the Tyne and Low. It really only seems like Something Is Killing the Children was the one that didn't get hit by that. Because as much as it was House of Slaughter, that wasn't quite as good, as up to par for that larger brand. But that's because you just we weren't getting Something Killing the Children at that time. So it was a good decision, I guess, on Tyna's part to kind of
It,
put it on pause.
yeah, well, it worked out because he had finished up an arc, and then was able to take a break from it and have someone else sort of write the
Right.
first arc of House of Slaughter, which wasn't my cup of tea. It's not to say that it was bad. I loved Christian's art, and just I didn't connect with that particular story. Now the second arc is so far, the tone and everything is a lot different, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. There's
Good.
more of a sort of a, I don't know. There's more teeth to it, but I think
Mhm.
the reason why I don't, Something is Killing Children didn't have that sort of flat line was it's just he wasn't writing it at the time,
Yeah,
right? He was able to
it
step away from it, so it was great.
smart
Uh,
move on his part. Before you get into your doc talk, I just did want to check in on Dark Crisis for everybody, because obviously that's the big event going on with DC right now. Solid. I think the first two issues have been solid. Like, I give it like a firm like 8 out of 10. The art is awesome, great event style art, but not anything necessarily where I'm like, oh, okay, this, like, when I'm looking at my pull list and things that are coming out this week, like, yes, I want to read it, but it's not necessarily at the top of my pile. There are a ton of other things that I'm really looking forward to, but because we talk about on the stuff on the show so much, like, I'm moving that up ahead of, I don't know, some books like the one you want to do for your doc talk today.
yeah. So, um,
This is why Chip doesn't like me.
yeah, it's exactly why he doesn't like you. You're a friggin' dink. Batman 125 dropped this week,
Hmm.
and man, oh man. So I think I texted when as soon as I finished reading it, I texted you, so you read it yet? And you said no. And I said, well, get on it, you fucking idiot. And then second, I don't know if I actually told you this or I just sort of said it in my head. I'm getting old. I forget this shit now.
You forget
Uh,
things? No, never.
but this is the best Batman, like mainline Batman book in a long time. Right. And that's not to say that Williamson's Batman stories have been bad or the end of Tynan's run, was bad. No, I enjoyed them all. Like Tynan had a very distinct tone and feel to his run on Batman. And towards the end, the big arc that was happening there got a little stale. And
Hmm.
again, it's just coinciding with all the changes that was happening at the time. So there was a distinct, we're at this point where storytelling now where Batman, he's lost all his money, he's not rich anymore, he's got to do things a little bit differently, and I feel like that's been beaten to death a little bit.
Hmm.
Granted, I know that's just where Batman is right now, but like Tynan's run was excellent and just kind of petered out towards the end. And I thought Williamson's run was solid because it all had to do with sort of everything that he had going on, with his big event.
Right.
And so the tone with Zdarsky's Batman is a 180. I mean, he's still not rich swinging Bruce Wayne, right?
Mm.
But the way Zdarsky writes Daredevil, right? The way he's been writing the Night, you have that sort of feel here with Batman. It's a little bit more internal, with Batman. And like I said, the tone, it's darker, it's a little edgier. He gets right to it. There's no dinking around. There's no, like sort of reintroducing anything. Zdarsky's got a story to tell. He's going to tell it right off the bat. The beginning of the book starts with a bit of a flashback, and then the end of the book sort of circles back to it and just kind of leaves you going, what the fuck is this? Oh, okay. Ah, huh. What?
Okay.
Okay. All right. And so, like, he tells a really great story in between and just gives you these bookends of, like, I wonder what the fuck this has to do. And then when you see it at the end and you, oh shit, but what the fuck does it mean? Like, where he's going to take this character. And when we talked to him on our show, he one of the things he mentioned too was he talked a lot about Tim Drake and wanting to incorporating him into his story and about the Batman having to live, dual lives, and then talking about how Tim Drake has had to live dual lives, but not in the sense of being Tim Drake and Robin, but being
Mm.
Tim Drake, Robin, and also being out. And this idea of, can you have happy soldiers, right? Because you get that feeling that since Tim has come out, it's a big weight, sort of off his shoulders, and
Hmm.
so like, can Batman find something similar?
Hmm.
And the story that you get with Batman, the story that you get with the Rogues Gallery, and what happens with Tim Drake in this book, Nicholas, is fucking tremendous.
Wow.
Absolutely fucking tremendous.
So I did look at the first 2 pages, then I realized it was what was it, like 42 pages long, this issue, and I
Yep.
was trying to fit this or one other book in, which I'll talk about in the image section. But the first few pages I got, were you talking about, can Batman find happiness? It was a swift no, like,
Yeah.
in the first few pages. No, absolutely no fucking shot.
and, and
Uh,
and 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 what you're referring to, start spoiling. It just sort of happens with Catwoman, and it's some of that Zdarsky humor that
Hmm.
happens there, where it's not like meant to be funny, but it kind of is,
Yeah,
and you just like, and it's but again, go out there, pick it up. If you haven't been reading mainline Batman, it's okay. Just pick it up and read it, and
that's
and and
huge.
and fucking take off.
That's the most important part in all this is knowing
Yeah.
that you haven't been reading Williamson or you weren't even reading Tynan. As long as you have a general idea, you can still pick this up. I know you asked me to look up some of this stuff before. Black Adam, the Justice Society Files, Hawkman issue 1. That's being written by Brian Q. Miller and Kevin Scott, and the penciler on that is Scott Eaton. So that was the one other book that we wanted to touch on, or at least make mention of. As for Image, got a big week, of course, from Image. We got Firepower 22, which is, I believe, a Skybound book. Of course, that's Kirkman. Metal Society issue 3, which is from Top Cow. Then we got Spawn 331, Saga 60, which we haven't read Saga yet. They don't give out review copies. That Texas Blood issue 15, Time Before Time issue 14, Twig issue 3, which did I read the second issue? I don't know if I read the second issue of that yet. Did you
So
read it?
when I did, and I read this issue, and so I
Oh,
remember when we talked with Kyle Strom when we had him and Jake Smith on for talking about Into Radness, which we'll talk about in a bit. I wanted to ask him some Twig questions, and so like the thing about Twig is that he's the artist on it, and you get some really cute, like the art is really cute and
mm.
colorful, right? Um, but there's a sense of being dark and twisted. And so I asked him, I said, how dark and twisted is it gonna get? And I don't know if he was just being coy because he was like, well, but and he kind of just sort of gave this, maybe because he didn't want to give too much away. This was
Mm.
a pretty twisted issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty twisted.
That's
Like
awesome. This
it's not like vicious and grotesque in terms of like getting dark, but it was just like it was a little twisted. I
oh,
enjoyed it very much.
that's good. I
Yeah.
mean, you just got this lovable guy who just has no clue what's going on in the world. It's
Yeah.
just perfect to
Yeah.
make this twisted.
Yeah.
Then we got What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 6, which is a deluxe issue, which I feel like I know the first one was like actually 3 issues in
Yeah.
one, so I don't know if this is necessarily saying much. Then we got a couple first issues. Starhenge issue 1 by Liam Sharp, who is the writer and artist on this. Liam Sharp was the artist for that Batman Ennis book that I liked until
Ah.
like the last couple issues.
Oh, Reptilian?
Yep,
Yeah.
Reptilian, that's what it was. Then we got Prodigy Icarus Society from Mark Miller and Matteo Buffagni, I believe is how you say that name. But there were 2 ones that we wanted to dive in a little bit deeper on. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, closet number 2, James Tynan. Again, I feel like he's back on course again, right? He's back on, like I've talked about this the past month or so, like the books that he's writing now are just in full force. And so this is an interesting book because it's very slow, right? There's not a lot of action.
That
Like
first
every
one was very different from anything we're
yeah,
reading right now.
right, and it's kind of got that nice house on the lake feel to it in terms of
Mm.
storytelling wise, that it's kind of just getting layered and layered and layered and not a lot's going on. The only thing like that's absolute for certain is that the husband and the father is just a complete shithead.
He really
um
is
and,
total dunce.
but Tiny writes him so well, like
Mm.
you kind of understand, you know you don't understand where he's coming from. Like you read his character and I think you're like, yeah, you're a fucking moron, but like I feel like people like that. You know what I mean? Like it's
Oh
like
yeah,
right, and so it's a very slow issue. Not a lot happens, but then boom, the end. Right?
again.
It's all about the end, and this book is even more terrifying than the first. And I'm easy to terrify, but
That
just
end of that first issue, man, was like, ooh, shit.
yeah. This ramps it up by
Ooh,
like
that's
2 or
good.
3, like so, like
Hmm.
again, it's a very slow paced methodical issue, but then boom, right, it gets you. So that's the hook, because if it was like that the whole time through, if it didn't have those endings to the first 2 issues, I'd probably be out on this book, to be honest, even though like yeah, the
Mm.
storytelling's great, the character development's great, but like
Yeah, I can understand
nothing
that.
happens, right? But then
Right.
it's like boom boom
Yeah.
each time. And so that's sort of the vibe I'm getting from this book, is it's going to be a very like slow, methodical, and then like the
Mm.
last issue is going to just be balls to the wall, cover to cover.
But is so the first issue to me, it felt like all about character development, right? With
Yeah.
that, with the father husband guy. Is that this? Is it the same focus on him this issue, or is it
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, well,
interesting?
I
Okay.
don't want to say too much,
No, it's
but
okay.
it's 95%. Like I
Got it.
said, it's the same thing. It's boom. It's him, talking, having, with his brother a heart to heart, and and
Hmm.
then what happens with the son,
Yeah.
at the end, right? It's just like that's just how it is. But like it's a quick read. You kind of go
Hmm.
through it, even though there's not a lot of action, but it is the end that just sort of goes, all right,
Okay.
next issue. Let's go. This, I feel like this is the type of book that would probably benefit really well from just being released as a trade,
Hmm. Okay.
if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, after reading the first issue, that makes a lot of sense, and I'll definitely be reading the second one too. You did not call dibs on this, and I'm very happy that you didn't, so I can actually read some
No, I
time and
I
stuff.
thought I did. I thought I called dibs on this and Little Monsters.
We're gonna have to go back. You definitely called dibs on Little Monsters. I haven't
I
touched Little Monsters.
We need a dibs list.
We actually should have a dibs list. It's kind of insane that we don't have one, but I could have
So you don't have another
sworn
good Asian.
we're gonna have to go back to the texts because I'm pretty sure you did
Oh, I
not
ain't
call
fucking.
dibs.
I ain't. I you know.
I'll
What? I
find
think
it.
you're right. I think you're right. No, I
Okay.
think you're right.
Look at
I think
that.
you're right.
That's how you win an argument, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Speaking of disagreements, though, so we got Philadelphia issue 23 this week, of course, written by friend of the show, Rodney Barnes, and Jason Sean Alexander, which every time I say his name, I'm always worried I'm going to say Sean Jason Alexander. I don't know why.
Like
Um,
Aiden Christensen.
yeah, exactly. But so at the end of this, at the last issue, we got this whole development, right? We know that there are 3 dead presidents in play right now, and there is a larger game that is going on, and we got some new players thrown in the mix too that are going to be fighting against these 3 presidents, assuming that they are going to team up together. We get a little bit more development with the new what seemed to be a new rival. It's actually going to be new rivals. There is someone again mentioned in I believe it was the first mention of Toussaint was issue 22 of Philadelphia, not 21. But we get Toussaint in the Toussaint Louverture in issue 22. This issue, we meet another character who was I believe, a general under a lieutenant under Toussaint. Not going to say the name because I don't want to spoil anything for people. That kind of comes midway through the issue. But a lot of cool action. Like with Jason Sean Alexander, it's all about the horror, right? It's all about the violence and everything. But when I think of his art, like I think of like, yeah, it's scary, it's fucked up. I don't necessarily think of like action shots, like we would get from like a
Mm.
Dan Mora or something or even a Capullo, as much as he can kind of do horror-ish stuff. He brings more like an action horror vibe, whereas Jason Sean Alexander is kind of the inverse. There's some really cool action shots in here too, from this issue, which was kind of a bit of surprise. I love the addition of Toussaint. And then you look at what he's got going on, and he kind of gets caught up to speed on everything, which is kind of good for the readers, I think, too. Just like through the course of the story, naturally you're told this is what's happening to everything right now. This is where we're at. This is what's about to go down. And then you get the ending, and it's just like, fuck, man. Like this next arc, because this should be the penultimate issue to the 4th arc. The next arc's going to be like all out war, I would think.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
should be.
It's ramping up to that. I haven't read this issue yet, but it's to me when when you mention Philadelphia, or when anyone talks about Philadelphia, right? I think one of the things you have to mention from the get go is its art, right?
Mm,
Alexander's art is just because it's different, right?
yep.
It's not quite like there's 2 artists where I can say they have very distinct styles, right? Martin Simmons, who's been on Department of Truth,
Mm,
and Jason Son Alexander, right? And his
mhm,
art is very distinct and it's great and as vicious as it's been. That was one of the things I talked about when I talked about this book on the show way back
mm.
when we did mainline issues, was just how vicious the art is. And it just, I don't know, there's something about this current arc where I feel like it's just gotten better
Yeah.
and better and better. And maybe that's because there's been a lot more chaos,
Mhm,
action these past couple issues. But it's just getting better and better and
mhm.
better.
And there is one little nugget. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to. I want people to find it for themselves. But there's one little nugget that's just said as like a line in the course of all the explanation to Toussaint. I won't say more than that. That people are going to appreciate. I can tell you afterwards, Joe, I'm not going to spoil it for the people, but it's just a little thing. So make sure you're really paying attention when Toussaint's getting his explanation as to what the hell's going on in the world right now, because there's a development. It's important for us and larger knowledge. And I don't want to. The further I go, the closer I'm going to get to spoiling it. So I don't want to mention that. Again, just a tiny thing. So let's move over to Boom. Of course, we got Magic the Gathering issue 16 from them. Mighty Morphin 21. I am very much behind on the Power Ranger stuff right now, which I am not happy about. But there's so much good stuff out there. And Boom, right, we're seeing them kind of pick steam back up again. We got 2 titles for them this week that we both care about quite a bit. I'll hit on this one first. Basilisk issue 9. So this is Return of Basilisk, which was left at a good spot, but definitely felt like you need to come back to this. Of course, a friend of the show, Cullen Bunn, is writing this, and his artist on this is Jonas Scarf. And this was left in a position where it's like, okay, like it's kind of like we kind of got 3 main players left. That's really it. Because I know you're a couple issues behind, but you've seen a few of the main players kind of fall by the wayside, right?
I sure have. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So if you're as far as Joe is, you know that a few have been thrown by the wayside. Everything not gets thrown out the window, but just like the whole thing, like this world kind of gets flipped on its head in the first few pages of this issue. And it's just like, there's a whole lot fucking more at play than we thought. And I can't say too much more than that in that sense. There is a little bit character development to our one human that's involved in all this too. You kind of learn a little bit more about her background. Of course, in some ways we've seen that she's not necessarily she's a little bit of a deplorable character in some ways, just because of some of the stuff she's done in the past, but something we've seen with characters, right, where they cheat on their spouses or whatever, that happens. Of course, this time had some serious ramifications because she wasn't there when all this happened. You just learn a little bit more about her. But the real surprise is just like the developments of like the Chimera and everything that's involved with that. And definitely some people aren't huge friends with each other at the end of all this too. There's some divide. So a great return to this title. Basilisk, I really enjoyed when Cullen started this, and of all his stuff, Lucky Devil, of course, we've been missing that one, but Basilisk is probably number 2 for me in like the wave that he introduced of his stuff in the past couple years, not counting Shadow Man, because that is obviously one he didn't introduce that had been around for a bit. But
do we know if Lucky Devil is coming back?
I don't know.
Is
I
that
mean, it
done?
should be. I'd be stunned if that didn't do well. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, like Basilisk was gone for a while. So,
Yeah.
and we've seen more. What's the one that I kind of fell off in? Parasomnia. I think we saw like
That's coming back. Yep.
yeah, that one is coming back or came back. So like, if I didn't dislike Parasomnia, but I felt like Lucky Devils
Well, that one was trippy for sure. That was like
yeah.
very Inception like.
But Lucky Devil was like next level to
Yeah.
me. Like it was like for me that was like number 1 on.
Because I can't remember how that ended. Did that end? Like, did it have a definitive ending for that arc?
It definitely didn't have. There's no way it had a definitive ending. Like for that arc, it might have had a solid ending and a good stopping point, but there was definitely more to be explored in that world. There was so much. Like they were just starting. The other Boom book, of course, that's at the top of our pull list, is one that you talked about on the show very early on. Once and Future, issue 27, which we both read. What'd you make of it, Joe?
Well, much like Philadelphia, this one's ramping up, and we actually get a bit of that, all out assault in this issue. I mean, again, this is like we talked about Sean Alexander getting better. This is maybe some of Moore's best work.
Saying a lot.
Yeah. And so like shit's coming to a head here. We are coursing down a path where we might lose someone here, Nicholas. We don't in this issue, but like, we're moving somewhere,
we might have lost somebody in this issue.
Well, we might have, but I don't. Yeah, we can't say anything.
You don't know for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way you do, but I don't think we did. That's saying too much. But fucking hey, man, this book is just fucking. Again, I always describe like when we have an issue like this, it's high octane.
Yeah,
this is one of those high octane, Once and Future issues.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I think for anybody, this has got to be like this has got to be one of the best. This has got to be the best issue so far and what's in future. If not, it's right up there. I mean, I remember we had this run, right, where Kieran was introducing like a new character every time at the end of an issue, and then like, okay, they're here for an issue and then they're gone after the first, few pages of the next issue. And that was fun. But I remember you were kind of like a little like worried about it.
Are we getting a jumping the shark moment?
Right. But now it's just been like, now we're moving the Arthur story forward. Everything's moving forward. And it's got the direction that it's going right now. Why am I blanking on the main male's name? Obviously, we have Duncan. Jeez. There's a moment that we have with Duncan in this issue. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, it legitimately laugh out loud.
Because for a second there, I'm like, "Is this where we're going?" And they're like, nah.
I don't think so. So we won't say more than that because you guys will figure out pretty quickly what we're talking about when you're reading this issue. But there's just what they've been doing with Gran's daughter, with Nimue, I think is her title now. What they've been doing with her,
Mary, whatever,
everything associated with her was awesome. And then the end of this issue too. I actually read read it out loud to Lauren, like the last like quote or two. It's like, fuck. Like we thought it was on in this issue. Next it's gonna be fucking crackers.
Yeah.
So awesome stuff.
Yep. Read it.
And then let's see, from Dark Horse this week, roll through these. So we got Cyberpunk 2077, Blackout issue 2, Stranger Things Summer Special, one shot. By the way, I don't know if you finished Stranger Things yet, Joe, but
got the last episode. I'm going to try and convince my wife to watch tonight because it's 2.5 hours.
It is. It's a lot, but it's so good.
I wanted to go back to back last night, and it was like 9:30. She's like, I can't do 2.5 hours. I have to work tomorrow. I go,
yeah. So some of us don't get Tuesdays off. I used to. Ward issue 2, and then we got Mine Management MGMT issue 1 by Matt Kint and Farrell Dalrymple. Dalrymple. I don't know. Sorry. Anyways, Vault. We got Deadbox issue 3, Shadow Service 13. Those are from Vault. Dynamite Red Sonja Red Seetha issue 3. Aftershock, we got Astronaut Down issue 2. I actually like the first issue of this, and this is one I called dibs on. And then There's Something Wrong with Patrick Todd issue 1 by Ed Brisson and Gavin Guidry. Ed Brisson, if I'm not mistaken, is the writer on if I'm not mistaken, the writer for Bunny Mask. I could be mistaken though. I think it's
Paul Tobin.
Yeah, it's Tobin. I was wrong there. Patrick. Yeah. And never mind. Anyways, what do we got from AWA this week before we get into the rest of the solicit?
So we have a book that I'm really looking forward to. Absolution #1. This is written by Peter Milligan and art by Mark Diodato. Nina Ryan. What'd I say?
Mark,
Jesus.
The fuck? He's like the face.
I know it's Mike Diodato. I think I was gonna say Mike Diodato Jr. and I got yep.
Oh yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah,
I honestly would make that mistake though. Too.
Yeah,
I can understand.
Mike Diodato Jr., who does a lot of the art for a lot of the books. He's fantastic. But Absolution #1. Nina Ryan was a hired killer who brought nothing but pain and suffering to the world. Now she has a month to prove that she can change. A month to make up for her crimes and find absolution, or the bombs have been implanted in her head will explode, killing her instantly. As her journey of atonement is live streamed to a fickle public, Nina is about to discover the road to redemption might be splattered with blood. Yes, motherfucking yes.
Dibs.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Yeah,
I was gonna read it regardless. You call dibs, yeah, too bad. It'd be one awkward issue. I was like, oh yeah, I know, I read it.
I think we've been seeing the like a cover for this in some of the AWA issues, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh yeah, they've been pumping this one
it's gonna
for
be
a little bit here, and
it's gonna kick ass.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that AWA does. I think Image does it pretty well too. Boom does it to some extent, but AWA does a really good job throughout the issue mixing in covers for each of their the other stories that they got going on. But anyways,
we're gonna have to reach out to AWA. Where I'm gonna need a fucking review copy for this so I can write a review.
I don't know what's going on up there. Kind of let that one die, but still talk about them plenty. So, anyways, let's move to the week of the 19th. That is the second Wednesday in July. Joe, what do we got from Marvel that week?
So from Marvel, we have Moon Knight 13, Wolverine 23, Fantastic Four, Nick's favorite, number 45, New Mutants, number 27, Immortal X-Men, number 4, Punisher, number 4. I still have to read Punisher 3. Fuck. Marauders, number 4, Star Wars Bounty Hunters, 25, Spider-Man 2099, Exodus, number 4, Savage Avengers 3, Captain Carter, number 4, Fortnite, X Marvel Zero War number 2. Fucking figure out your goddamn titles. And then we have a bunch of number ones coming this week, so they're more than making up for it. We have X-Men Hellfire Gala number 1, written by Jerry Duggan, artist by Matteo Loli. New team revealed at last year's gala. Mutants changed the face of the solar system, terraforming Mars and claiming it for mutant kind. So I'm assuming the Hellfire Gala is going to be an annual event. I don't know why.
Should be. Yeah, people seem to really like it. It's definitely a big thing on social media too. So we'll be reading this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you can't. You would think after the fucking first one, they'd be like, you know what? Yeah, let's put a pause on the gala this year, guys. But we have
oh, you mean the mutants themselves?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is also true. Yes.
We have Axe Eva Judgment number 1, written by Kieran Gillen, artist by Pasquale Ferry. And then First Shot Fired, Judgment is coming. Oh, sorry, that's the
synopsis.
That's the synopsis.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah. Well, it was on split pages there, so my old eyes.
That's on you.
But the two number ones I really want to focus on is The Mandalorian number 1, written by friend of the show Rodney Barnes, artist George's Genti. Rodney talked about this when we had him back on the show back in the fall.
You heard that news here first, everybody. So
yeah,
why you subscribe to the audio channels, because we only get the interviews in our audio channels, and you find out sometimes breaking news, and sometimes guys spill news that they shouldn't, like Chip.
Yeah, which was fucking tremendous. And
that was amazing.
Still holding that in my back pocket. For the first time, The Mandalorian arrives in comics. The Mandalorian bounty hunter tracks a target of for a well-paying mysterious client. Witness the Mandalorian of Din Djarin and the first meeting between the Mandalorian and the child. So basically, this is just a comic version of the first season of, this is an adaptation of the first season of the Mandalorian that Rodney, told us would be the case when we had him on. But the big number 1, this is bigger than Batman 125. This might be the number 1 book I'm looking forward to maybe this year, because this book for me was, when I got back into comics, Nick, this was one of the titles that I started reading. And this is the book that made me a Chip Zdarsky fan. This is the book that really got me just, balls deep, back into it. And that's Daredevil number 1. Again, same team from the original run, which I think went 34, 35 issues. Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cecchio. After the rain comes the dawn. In the wake of Wilson Fisk's violent and visceral last act, it's a new era for New York and the man without fear. With a groundbreaking creative team returning to usher in an all-new chapter, Matt Murdock has no choice but to leave behind everything he's ever known, and Elektra is the last vestige of his former life. Everything Matt Murdock thought it meant to be Daredevil is about to change, including the challenges he will have to face in the cowl. So again, this is, when I found out, because there was a little bit of confusion when Daredevil was ending, like, oh shit, that's it, he's done. He's moving on. And then we're like, okay, we're getting this Devil's Reign event. And then it's like, oh, he's coming back to Daredevil. Good. So we don't know exactly how long this run is going to be. He wasn't sure if it was going to be another 30-something issues, but he said he had a general idea of, he knows the story he wants to tell, but he didn't want to sort of put like a specific number, on how long it'll take to tell that story. But I can't wait. I can't wait. This is superhero comic writing at some of its best.
Yeah,
Zdarsky's done with Daredevil.
I'm very excited to give this one a look. I still have to finish up his original run, but of course read all of Devil's Reign, so we know where things are going. into this. We have an idea of what the directions are going to be. We know who Daredevil might be crossing over with, at least one character a little bit. I believe Chip said that they're going to kiss. I don't know if that was like metaphorically or literally, but Chip has a way of pissing people off, so that would probably piss some people off. So
my take was metaphorically, but if you
oh,
want some
okay.
sweet tongue action, Nicholas, you might just get it.
Yeah, if we ask enough, right? Hey, we got something over him now at this point, so we
Yeah,
should
we do.
probably.
I already tried to fucking blackmail him.
You
It didn't
did.
work.
You
I
take
didn't get a super advanced copy of Batman 125.
You are my favorite writer, and now that you've done this, now that you fucked up, I'm going to take full advantage of it. I'm not going to forgive you. I'm going to take full advantage of it. That's the kind of guy you are, Joe. But yeah, very excited for that one. And probably one of the most anticipated comics of the year. I would say, that, honestly, Chip, coming back to Daredevil and then starting on Batman, those got to be up there for like some of the most highly anticipated comics of the year. From DC, speaking of Batman, we got Batgirls issue 8. Batman Urban Legends issue 17, Future State Gotham issue 15, I Am Batman issue 11, just no shortage of Gotham related stuff. Naomi season 2 issue 5, Rogues issue 3. I actually got to read the second issue of this still. Really enjoyed the first issue. Superman Son of Kal-El issue 13, Wonder Woman 789, Wonder Woman Evolution 8. And then we got Dark Crisis without Worlds Without a Justice League Superman issue 1, written by Tom King, Joe's favorite, and
Again,
art
figure
by.
out your fucking deal with the goddamn titles, DC. It's too long.
I'm confused by the Superman part there, and then the artist is Chris Burnham. You also got a second story in there on Aquaman.
Yep.
Sorry, Aquaman Has Everything, written by Brandon Thomas and art by Fico Ossio, who I think they've worked together. I think it was on the I can't remember the character's name that they did, but anyways, they have worked together. Of course, I like Fico Ossio's art quite a bit, and Brandon Thomas is the writer of Excellence, which I guess is over. I don't know. Anyways, take us through Image.
So for Image, we have A Town Called Terror number 4, 8 Billion Genies number 3, King Spawn number 12, Loaded Bible, Blood of My Blood number 5. Voice cracks. New Masters number 5, Ordinary Gods number 7. Was it last week that we were talking about this?
Spoken into existence.
That we wanted to get back. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Slumber number 5, Undiscovered Country number 19. This has been a hiatus for some time.
Yeah,
Nicholas.
Got to read that one-off that Scott put out.
Yeah, because I think that was a way to sort of get people back. And then we have a couple of number 1s. Impact Winner number 1, written by Travis Beacham, art by Stephen Green, and then again, right? Download, subscribe, because you're only going to get our interviews, our Friar Side chats, audio only. Above Snakes number 1, written by Sean Lewis, art by Hayden Sherman. We had Sean on a month or two ago to discuss this book, and we've read the first issue. We absolutely fucking love it. We know, everyone's gonna love it who reads it. It's just it's Hayden Sherman, his art, I know, some people really love it, some people not so much, but with this book in particular, especially with the colors, he really ups his game a ton. The art in this book is fantastic, but Sean Lewis writing, I mean, we can never speak highly of it enough. It's fantastic. Make sure, if you haven't put this book on your FOC, go buy the first issue, add it to your pull list so it comes in, each month. You're going to love it.
Yeah, and just a quick synopsis for everybody, too. The story of Dirt, a man seeking vengeance for his murdered wife with nothing but a talking vulture to prod him on. Above Snakes is a fast and furious explosion of Western tropes and American vengeance that explores where our rage can take us. And there's a certain thing, like when they talk about Western tropes, too, that Sean pokes fun at. There's a few things he pokes at, but there's one thing in particular in the first issue that we also discussed in our interview that I really enjoyed. So very promising first issue. I can't really add more to what you said, Joe, because you hit on everything when it comes to Above Snakes. As for Boom, we got Dune, House of Canley, issue 3, which you caught up on issue 2. Power Rangers, issue 21, not to be confused with Mighty Morphin. Then we got Flavor Girls, issue 1, which is written and drawn by Loic Locatelli Korinsky. I don't know.
Yeah,
But sorry, Loic. But anyways, that's coming out from Boom. We look over to Dark Horse. We got British Paranormal Society, Time Out of Mind, issue 3, Norse Mythology, 3, issue 6, Orphan and the Five Beasts trade paperback, Tales from Harrow County, Lost Ones, issue 3. And then, of course, we got Overwatch New Blood, issue 1, written by Ray Fox and drawn by Irene Coe. And then, more importantly, we have Into Radness, which we had the creators on the show a little while back. Again, subscribe to the audio channel to go listen to that. Get that delivered right to your phone. Every time that happens, you don't need any warnings. You don't need to be watching the live streams. It just gets delivered right to your device. Kyle Strom, the writer on that, of course, the artist on Twig as well. And then we have Jake Smith as the artist on this. We talked about a ton of detail with them about this original graphic novel. Did not come out in single issues at all. So make sure you guys check that one out. What do we got from IDW?
Yeah, so we haven't had a lot from IDW lately. And
No.
what's new, or this might be the only real IDW book we got under solicit all month, but Dark Spaces Wildfire, #1, Scott Snyder, and again, just mentioned him, Hayden Sherman. 6 weeks into the slow burn of the historic Arroyo fire, a crew of women from an inmate firefighting program are risking everything on the front lines when their newest recruit, a white-collar convict with a deep network of shady dealers, discovers they're mere miles from her crooked former associate's mansion. When she proposes a plan to abandon their duties and hunt for riches under the cover of smoke and ash, the team must decide if they're ready to jeopardize their one sure path back to normalcy for a shot at a score that will change their lives forever. But is this a flicker of fortune or a deadly trap? Yes, 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 fucking yes. All in on this one.
Scott and Hayden. I mean, that's a team that I didn't expect. But Hayden's really been doing a lot. Of course, did Chicken Devil in between his books that he done with Sean. So very, very much interesting. It's surprising to see it coming from IDW, but they've kind of looks like they're doing an initiative as well, trying to do more creator-owned stuff over there, which I like that. I mean, I just think you're always better off doing that. As for Dynamite, I'm going to roll through all these just so we can get to the next week of July. Amora Red Sonja, issue 4. Army of Darkness versus Reanimator, issue 1, written by Eric Burnham and drawn by Eamon Castellanos, I don't know, Castellanos. And it's a deep fly to left field. AWA, we got New Think, issue 2. Aftershock, Dogs of London, issue 3, which I do want to try and read this one. We Live, Age of Paladins, issue 4. The Brother of All Men, issue 1, written by Zach Thompson and art by Eoin Marin. There's a lot of names I'm struggling with. Ian.
It's Ian.
That's okay. Ian. I can see how that's Ian. EOIN. So everybody knows I'm not that illiterate.
Gaelic.
Valiant. We got Archer and Armstrong Forever, issue 3. And then from Vault, we have West of Sundown, issue 4. Quest Aside, issue 3. But the big one is the return of Barbaric. Barbaric, The Harvest of Blades, issue 1, written by Michael Morrissey and drawn by Robert Wilson the fourth. This was a lot of people seem to like this title. I thought it was good. I'd give it like a solid 8.5 in that first arc. More so because it felt a little slow moving in some ways, but the characters in the development with them, they were all really cool. So like you could maybe budge me up to a 9, but I feel more comfortable at an 8.5. I do think it's something worth your time. The talking axe in this story is definitely the coolest character, but there's a lot of potential for this title. So I will definitely be picking up the first issue of the second volume, or however they want to call it. It's not technically just the Barbaric again. Anyways, let's move to the week of the 20th, Joe, and you kick us off with Marvel.
All right, so we have Darth Vader 25, Star Wars 25, Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood #3, Venom, Lethal Protector #4, Knights of X #4, Captain America, Symbol of Truth #3, and then we have a couple of #1s. We have Defenders Beyond #1, written by Al Ewing and Javier Rodriguez, and we have the return of Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #1. Gene Luen Yang and Marcus To are the writer artists on this, and I've enjoyed Luen Yang's previous 2 arcs with Shang-Chi. It's really fun to read. He's incorporated a lot of the Marvel universe in this, but it seems like he's got a really great grasp of the character. And now that we've got the 10 rings in it seems like it's getting a little bit, we're starting to, get a little bit closer to maybe what we got in the MCU, with Shang-Chi. So I'm really looking forward to this because the first two arcs have been really fun to read. So this should be a good one as well.
Yeah, and I think I fell behind on one of the Shang-Chi's, I think the most recent one. But I could be well, actually, this just I liked it. It just wasn't something that was like, "Oh my god, I absolutely have to read this." That was
Yeah,
my
it's
problem.
just a fun book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get it
Mhm.
if you fell off, it might not be, for everyone, but like this isn't like on the level of the indie books that we read.
That's the thing.
But and it's like and then like the Marvel books that we've really been loving have been like, Punisher and Ghost Rider, Sabretooth, Wolverines have been grittier Marvel stuff. So this isn't a gritty title. It's
Mhm.
fun.
Right.
And it's enjoyable fun. So like
Yeah.
if you read it and you stay with it, I think that's gonna be the thing. Like,
Mm.
like you, if you read it and then you start to fall off, like, okay, it just might not be your cup of tea.
The thing is, yeah, I don't think it's bad. It's just that like when it comes to Marvel and DC falls under this too. If it starts out and it's like, okay, it's not bad, I'm much less compelled to go back to that than I am with an indie book, because with indie books you have, and especially when it's creator owned, you have no idea what the fuck can happen. Everything can
Yeah, yeah.
change in the blink of an eye. That's not usually going to happen with Marvel and DC as much.
Right.
Speaking of DC, for the week of the 20th, we got Nightwing 94. Batman Superman World's Finest issue 5, Batman the Knight issue 7, Black Adam 2, DC versus Vampires All Out War issue 1. Of course, that's a spinoff within all of the DC versus Vampire stuff, and I've been reading anything DC versus Vampires. The one first issue that we get, which for some reason I thought this was a one-off, but I hope to God it's not, Artemis Wanted issue 1, written by Vita Ayala and drawn by Skylar Patridge. Man, I'm struggling with the names today. But I love Artemis. Like Wonder Woman's cool and everything like that, but Artemis has this big ass act. She's got a little bit more of an attitude. Definitely less of like, definitely not the chosen one at all. I did not read the Trial of the Amazons. I may go back and try and pick that up. I would imagine they're going to do a little bit of like, here's what happened. Even in the synopsis, kind of gives you an idea what's going on in Artemis's life. But her and Jason Todd were pretty tight in Red Hood and the Outlaws. So I liked that character a lot. And I would love to see, I'm very much looking forward to reading this first issue. Take us through Image.
So we have Gunslinger Spawn number 10, Radiant Black 16, Silver Coin 12, Radiant Red number 5. That is the final issue of that. Do a Power Bomb number 2. Like, again, there needs to be someone that's like, no, work on that title a little bit because it's a great book.
Mhm.
The title doesn't do it justice. Bloodstained Teeth number 4, Seven Sons number 2, and then we have a couple of number ones. Crossover number 1, which is sort of a reprinting, but it's a 3D special. So I feel like this is meant to be a collector's,
Mhm.
sort of
Yeah.
item for this. But if you haven't read Crossover, it's a good way to get into it because you can definitely get the collected trades at this point.
But there is an
Um,
all new story in there by Donnie and his wife Megan Hutchinson Cates too. So
yeah,
I will.
yeah.
I'm
Like I
looking
said,
for.
this is a collector's. It's 100% a collector's thing. But if you haven't read it before, it's a good time to it's a good way to get into it.
Mhm.
And then we have two number ones we want to talk about. Razor Blades, Small Cuts Special number 1. This is written by James Titan with art by Martin Simmons. And so Razor Blades, Small Cut Special number 1 collects all of James Titan's contributions from the first year of Razor Blades, which I believe is like an online. Yeah, I don't know if it's part of his Substack or it's like an online like magazine that he does or something like that. But it's a collection of I don't know if I want to call them short stories either, but it's just going to be a sort of a series of stories within this sort of one issue. So that should be a lot of fun
Looks pretty
because
cool.
I've heard good things about the stuff he's done with the Razor Blades. And then we
Yeah.
have one that you wanted to talk about, Nicholas.
Rogues Gallery issue 1 by Hannah Rose and Justin Mason. The start of the synopsis: The Purge meets Scream.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm already
all you.
interested in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, all you.
Oh, you're all set.
I'm not a fan of the Purge, Nicholas.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair. I got you. I got you. This is in a home invasion thriller that follows disenfranchised TV superhero actress Maisie Wade as she is terrorized by an unhinged group of intruders cosplaying her day job's arch villains. Sounds awesome. I am
No,
all in. I'm okay.
no.
So if you're out,
Dibs, take it. It's yours because
okay.
like,
Yeah.
I still have a fucking golf club next to my fucking bed because our when we first moved in this house we got broken into. So like anything with home invasion and kidnapping, those are the two things I just will not fucking do ever.
Okay.
So to have at it, Nicholas.
Duly noted. But okay. So awesome. I'm very much in on that one. From Boom, we got Alice Ever After issue 4, Grimm issue 3. Of course, we both have dibs on those respectively. Dark Horse, Manor Black, Fire in the Blood issue 4. Then we got a couple of Hellboy things. Young Hellboy, Assault on Castle of Death issue 1. Hellboy in the BPRD, Time is a River issue 1. IDW Godzilla versus the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 3. I didn't read the third issue of this yet. I got to get caught up on that.
Issue 4.
Yeah, I know. So was I
You
say
said
issue
3.
Oh, I haven't read. Okay, 4 is out this week. I haven't read 3. I was getting ahead of myself.
You said 3 twice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever. Anyways, it's 4's coming out this month. I haven't read 3 yet. That's it. Thank you. I'm going to yell the rest of these now too. GI Joe. A Real American Hero, Best of Snake Eyes, issue 1. They're doing all these bests of, which you just can't miss. AWA, we got the 4th issue of The Joneses and the 3rd issue of the 2nd volume of The Devil's Highway. Really been enjoying this second volume through these first 2 issues. Dynamite, Samurai Sonya, issue 2. Bolt, Radio Apocalypse, issue 3. Deadbox, issue 4. Aftershock, Bunny Mask, The Hollow Inside, issue 3. And then we got tell people what's supposed to be going on with Comixology, Joe.
So I've got no idea because this first title was supposed to come out according to Comixology, and League of it was supposed to come out like 2 months ago, but got postponed. But according to Comixology, they say that Barnstormers #1, written by Scott Snyder, with art by Tula Lote, is coming out this week. And so a high-flying adventure romance set just after the First World War. This Bonnie and Clyde romp brings together Snyder and breathtaking illustrations by Lotte. So this is definitely a passion project for Scott because he's talked about this numerous times on our show. Again, plug, subscribe, right? This is going to be the plug issue. But this is like, he's mentioned this one a couple of times. And so this was on my draft list. So I'm looking forward to reading this. But then it also says Dudley Datsun and the Forever Machine and Canary #1. There is no chance that all 3 of these books are dropping at the same time. So those are tied. Dudley Datsun and the Forever Machine #1 and Canary #1, which I believe are both yours. Should be coming out, I would imagine, fall and winter, right before the end of the year. Respectively.
Well, they'll run at the same. They'll probably run at the same time. They just won't come out on the same days because you had those last 3 that came out at the same time. But I just, it's hard to know for sure. Like if we see,
I want to say like when these were first announced, like that was sort of like the timeline was like spring, fall, early
for
winter.
all 3 though. For all 3, not just one.
Right.
Yeah.
We get Barnstormers, then we get Dudley Datsun a few months later, and then Canary.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying no. We'll get Barnstormers, Dudley Datsun, and Canary running at the same time, not the same day.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There we go.
Just because,
All right, let's move on to the 4th and final week of July. That is Wednesday would be the 27th. Joe, Marvel, go.
Yeah, this is a #1 week, heavy week. So we have Amazing Spider-Man #6. If you're watching, you can see what I'm doing. That's a big thumbs down. Venom #9, Obi-Wan #3, X-Men 92, House of XCII #3. Again, figure out your fucking titles. God
trying to
damn
get
it.
too cute there. It's like it's 92. Like we don't know this. Like we're not in Roman society.
Right. And I'm not smart enough to know what that equates to.
Someone told me it once. I had no fucking clue. I did not figure that out myself.
Yeah. But then we have #1s, Ant-Man #1, written by Al Ewing, art Tom Riley. We have Genus Vell, Captain Marvel #1, written by Peter David with art by Juanan Ramirez. And Wild Cards, the drawing of cards #1, written by Paul Cornell with art by Mike Hawthorne. But
Who knew? Wait, who knew that George R. R. Martin had written superhero stuff? Because that's like based out of his like world or whatever.
is it?
Weird.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah. But the #1 I think you're looking forward to this week, Nicholas, take it away.
I'm not going to call dibs because I don't
I'm
want
going
to
to
do
read this
that to you.
regardless.
I was going to say I don't want to do that to you. I just want everybody to know that Joe interrupted me before I could say that I'm that good of a friend. So you don't. So there's no chance for you to be a dick and ignore me. But Gambit issue 1 by Chris Claremont and Sid Kotian. We've been waiting for this for a while. I think we thought we were going to get it in March. So it's been a little bit of
This
delay.
was announced a while ago.
Yeah, I feel like it was announced like in 2021, like towards the
I'm
very end.
pretty
Like right around
sure
the
I gave
holiday.
this a boner emoji when it was
Yeah.
announced.
So we're getting Chris Claremont writing anything X-Men related. You know that's definitely worthwhile as much as it's been a while. And this is the second title that we're seeing, like them bringing back some of the old creators. Wolverine Patch, not necessarily going as well. Still got super high expectations for Gambit, of course, always. So a character who I always will love, and it's just everything about him is really cool. But it can always be written, I feel like, a little bit better. I know the Marvel Now stuff I talked about a while back, that was awesome. I did like a lot of what Kelly Thompson did with him and Rogue, but there's been a lot of other stuff with him over the years. It's just like, okay, it's not bad, but it could be better. So I'm really
Yeah,
hoping that this isn't like that and it just kicks ass.
yeah. I feel like they sometimes just give it to her and say, "Hey, write Gambit," and
Yeah.
they might not, be into it or
Mm,
whatever. They gotta.
yeah.
They need to find someone who just fucking loves Gambit and
Yeah.
wants to just fucking
So he's a co-creator, Claremont is of
Yep.
Gambit. That's so awesome that he's got to be passionate about it. But yes, like as you start getting younger creators come in, people who were born in the 90s or in the 80s who like know the X-Men, the animated show, those are the people that you want to start like, hey, if we're going to do stuff with Gambit, like let's look at some younger writers because they are going to want to get that shit right.
Speaking of which, I pre-ordered that Marvel trading card
Oh
book.
yeah.
It was supposed to come out like this week or next week, but like it got postponed to like the end of August.
Ugh.
God, come on, come on,
Dude, that's
come
brutal.
on.
It's gonna get postponed again.
Probably.
DC, we got Detective Comics 1062, Batman One Night issue 3, Robin 16, Deathstroke Inc. 11. Then again, a lot of #1s. DC Mech issue 1 by Kenny Porter and Baldemar Rivas. Young Justice Targets issue 1 by Greg Weisman and Chris Jones. For those who watch the animated show, you'll be interested in that. Then we got Superman Space Age issue 1 by Mark Russell and Michael Allred. And then the big one, of course, Batman White Knight presents Red Hood issue 1, written by Clay McCormack and Sean Murphy, with art by Simone DeMio. Very much in on this. Very excited to see a Red Hood story in the Murphyverse. What about Image, Joe?
So before we go to Image, I think Batman One Dark Knight #3. That's Jock's Batman
Yep,
book, and I
that
think
is.
that's the finale.
I
Because I
think
think it's
so.
only supposed to be 3 issues, and I feel like the second issue came out a long, long time ago. So looking forward to that. But on the Image, Spawn 332, Department of Truth #20, Scorched #8, A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance #10,
What?
Rogue Sun #6. Is that that's not the end of Rogue Sun, right? Because Rogue Sun, I think, is ongoing.
Oh, it's ongoing. It's the end of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
arc.
yeah, yeah,
And Ryan Parrott said that you ain't seen nothing yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if we ain't seen
Okay.
nothing yet, holy smokes.
Jeez.
Zdarsky's Public Domain #2 and Philadelphia 24. And then we have a couple of #1s here. Nick, take it away.
The Magic Order issue 3, Magic Order volume 3, issue 1 by Mark Millar and Gigi Cavanago. I read the first volume of this that's available on Hoopla. I didn't read the second one yet. I will go back and read this, but I really, really enjoyed that first one. Something that I should, definitely should talk about on the show at some point. Actually, like seeing this reminded me, like, oh yeah, you still haven't read the second volume of that yet. So I'd like to try and read this one. This is going to be another six issue run, and it looks like it's going to become a Netflix show as well. Then we got the Hollows issue 1 by Chris Ryall and Sam Keith. And this one is dystopian near future Japan where spectral once human husks prey on unfortunates On the unfortunates who couldn't find salvation in the skyscraper-like trees that now dominate the decimated landscape. A discredited scientist works furiously to find a cure until a one-eyed orphan girl and her pet force him to rethink everything he knows. So very much interested in that one. But I'm the Magic Order is something that I got to catch up on because I do want to read this next volume. From Skybound, of course, its own thing, but publishes through Marvel. I Hate This Place,
Through
issue
who?
3. What?
Publishes through who?
What did I say?
Marvel?
Oh, Image. Sorry. My
Jesus,
head's. We have to, unfortunately, because we have a busy night, we got to get out of here. My head's fucking racing. I Hate This Place, issue 3, which seems appropriate right now. From Skybound. And then, of course, Stillwater by Chip Zdarsky, issue 14. Almost screwed that up. Boom. We got Something is Killing the Children, issue 25. House of Slaughter, 7. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, issue 12. The Killer, Affairs of the State, issue 6. Dark Horse, Hellboy and the BPRD, 1957. Falling Sky, issue 1. Jeez. And then Jenny Zero, volume 2, issue 3. Of course, we talked to our guys, Dave Dwanch and Brockton McKinney, about this arc a little while back. You can check that one out. IEW, TMNT, 131. And then Joe's favorite, My Little Pony, issue 3. I mean, Mac's favorite, issue 3, My Little Pony. AWA, Hit Me, issue 5, the final issue of this. I'm wondering if we're going to get more of this character beyond this volume because
I'd imagine so.
Here. Yeah,
it seems
really
to be going
awesome
really well.
From Krista Faust. Vault Mindset, issue 2, Lunar Room, issue 5, Source Point Press, Good Boy, volume 2, issue 3, Comixology, the All-Nighter, issue 8, which is Chip Zdarsky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then last,
Big Chip
not
month.
least,
Big Chip month.
we got from Valiant, Book of Shadows, issue 1 by Cullen Bunn and Vicente Cifuentes. This is the team up thing that they're doing with Shadow Man. We got Punk Mambo, Eternal Warrior, Dr. Mirage. A lot of characters Joe and I don't know because we don't read Valiant, but we saw, I think it's Punk Mambo in the Shadow Man series.
Mm-hmm.
Some awesome stuff. We're very much in on this.
100%. And we hope to talk to Cullen at some point soon so we can discuss a lot of this stuff again. But some good shit all around this month.
We've actually moved on that, everybody, where we've been teasing, talking about what we need to do. That we've actually finally reached out to him because it took us long enough. But anyways, that is it for this week, Joe. You are going to be on holiday, so enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
We will have something for you guys next week, but until it's going to be a long period of time. You got to stay sexy, Joe. But do you think you can do it?
Oh, I'll be on the beach, baby, with my shirt off. You know it.